Today in this video, I'm going to tell you why so many master gardeners prefer the fall over the spring for planting trees and shrubs. You know, after being cooped up in the house in the wintertime, spring is a really nice time to get outside. You got cabin fever, you're ready to get at your hands in the dirt, and spring is a great time to plant. But fall is even better, and I'm going to tell you why. Did you know that when you take a plant from the nursery and transplant it to your garden at home, that it actually loses about 50% of its water absorbing root capacity? That means that plant's going to have a lot going against it once you get it transplanted into your garden. Now, one of the challenges you're going to have in planting in the fall is you're going to have less availability because nurseries aren't typically stocking as many plants as they do in the spring. It's just the way the industry works, and they're trying to get rid of inventory, so it's also a good time to get good deals. In the springtime, when you've just put a plant in the ground, that plant is sending signals because of the environmental conditions, the warmer temperatures, the sunlight. The plant thinks I need to grow, while underneath the ground the root system may not be as established as it needs to be. In the fall and even in the winter, I like to plant in the winter. If you can dig a hole in the winter and your ground's not frozen, it's also a great time to plant. But in the fall, the plant is beginning to shut down for the winter. It's already beginning to tell itself to go to sleep. But that plant is going to spend more time developing roots in the ground because it's not doing anything above ground. There's nothing going on. There's no foliage being grown, no flowers being produced. That means that when the springtime comes and the temperatures warm up, and even in the late spring going into the summer, there's more established root system that as the heat of summer comes on the following year, you're going to have a more well-established plant. With trees, you're going to want to have, whenever you put new trees in the ground for that first 18 months to 2 years, you're going to want to have about 8 to 10 gallons per week to help that new tree get established. But you just want to make sure that the root system is nice and healthy. As you can see here in this plant, you can see a nice healthy white root system. Now, what about transplanting existing trees and shrubs? I normally like to wait until the first frost. That way the plant has been signaled to go ahead and go to sleep, to settle down for the winter. And that's going to put that plant under much less stress when I go digging around the roots to bring that out of the ground and move it to its new home. So now you can also do that in the wintertime. One disadvantage, and this is not really a disadvantage at all, but when you've got deciduous trees and shrubs, you can't see leaves. And so when you transplant or when you put a potted deciduous tree in the ground in the fall or winter and all the leaves have dropped, you certainly can't look at it and tell, is this thing alive or not, because there's no growth on it. But just trust the process. If that tree was alive and that shrub was alive when you transplanted it into its new home, it should be fine. One test that you can do to find out, that, like if you go to a garden center and you see a deciduous tree or shrub for sale and you're just not sure, is this thing alive, you don't really know for sure, just take your fingernail and take maybe the first 3 or 4 inches of the branch and scratch just a little bit of the bark and see if you see it nice bright green underneath that bark, and that'll tell you that plant is alive. If you see tan or brown, that plant is probably dead. You'll be able to test your own plants too. When you have a plant that you've moved into the ground and you're just wanting to know, is this thing still alive, you can go and do that same test. Make sure you see green underneath that bark. You don't want to scrape deeply, just enough that you can see green underneath the bark. Whenever you go dig a plant from the ground and you're moving, try to get as much of the root system as you can. That will help it establish more quickly. One of my favorite reasons for planting in the fall is the temperatures are great. It's just a wonderful time to get your hands in the dirt, get something planted, and make your garden look beautiful for next year as you anticipate next spring and summer. So the work you do now will pay off months down the road and you'll really enjoy it. Thanks for watching.